So, yeah, good morning from Korea. It's actually 10:30 in the morning here. And welcome to the CICA Young and Contemporary Artist Talk. My name is Yoosang Kim, and I'm a curator at CICA Museum. Thank you so much for joining us from literally all over the world through Zoom. And this networking session is organized for the artists who have had or will have solo exhibitions at CICA Museum this year. And we're really excited to hear your presentations about your project and exhibitions. So yeah, once again, let me just quickly take you through how today's program work. Each artist will have about 15 minutes for their presentation. As for the order of the presentations, I'll call your name when it's your turn. Yeah, I think we've got enough time for ourselves because I didn't expect this, but this kind of things always happen when it comes to conference meetings. So about the Q&A session, we were thinking about we'll have a more relaxed Q&A session after all the presentations so that you have an opportunity by then. So please feel free to note down your questions for that so that everyone can network after all the presentations. So any other questions before we begin at all? So yeah, it looks like everything's good to go. So I'd like to invite John Sproul as the first presenter.
Very
That's
well.
okay, yeah?
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay. You see the full screen image now?
Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to hearing about everybody else's work and being in South Korea actually next week. Very excited about that. So this body of work that I've done, I'm normally a painter and I draw and I paint and I sometimes do printmaking. But with this body of work, I focused on printmaking, making what are called monotypes. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the monotype, it's different than regular printmaking in that you paint on a piece of plexiglass and then you run it through the press and you do that several times. But that's the end of the print process. You can't do multiples. It's just a one-off product. And something that I really enjoy and also get frustrated about is that in that process, you never know what's going to come out at the end of the press. There could be a little off registration, or it can shift a little bit. Any number of things can happen, and then you just have to kind of deal with it and either start over or work with what the press gives you. And for me, this really feels like how it is to have a relationship. You can enter a relationship and thinking one thing, and then something completely different happens, and you have to make amends and compromise and to move forward with it. And so it really feels like in making these monotypes as having this partnership relationship with the inanimate printing press. One of the things where this is most prevalent in my life is as a parent. As a parent, you have children, and then you're like, I'm going to raise my kids this way, and then they're not going to have any of the problems that I had growing up because I'm doing this. But things happen. The kids, of course, are themselves, and that doesn't always happen. So my youngest child turned 16 over a year ago, about the time I started making this body of work. And in the States, when you turn 16, you can get a driver's license and drive a car. And so when he did that, he became much more independent. I didn't have to drive him around anymore, and I had all this free time that I didn't know what to do with for a little while. And at that time, I began to really think about my role as a parent. And so my oldest is 23, and I have three kids, one 20, and what has gone on and how things have changed in that 23 years, and my successes and failures as a parent, and just really kind of thinking about that, walking through it, finding peace with things, finding resolve, finding understanding. Where before, when I was intensely engaged in driving and being, parenting all the time, I didn't have that time to really reflect upon it. And so this work came about as me walking through that process. But as I got into it, I began to realize that I wasn't just talking about my experience with my children. I was talking about how it feels to be in our social political society today. And so the work started with my kids. It's we're very close, but even though we're close, and I've worked hard to be the father that I hopefully they needed of me, there's dissonance in the family. We're different people. There's shortcomings and whatever. And I thought it really interesting that even though we were close and we love each other, we still have um, this disruption in the relationships, and there's isolation and tension that comes up. And so I really started to think about that and how we're moving into a more, there's a lot of reflection or a lot of concern with people feeling isolated and excluded and marginalized. At least in America, I don't know how it is where everyone is, but we're here where I am. It definitely is that way. So, um, it was really using my family to talk about the human family, all of us together. Um, And so I'm using snapshots of family photos of places we frequent that are familiar to us. We go hiking, we go to concerts, we eat a lot of food, we're at the dinner table a lot. And so this first piece is entitled Lake. And this is after we had hiked up to our destination, which was a lake, all the way up. My kids are like teasing each other or whatever. But we get at the top after the difficult part's over, and everybody's like just spreads out. We all go to our separate little corners, right? And I found that really reminds me of with in 2000 in 2001 the 9/11 incident where there was a terrorist attack in New York City and the Twin Towers were destroyed. And the American people came together in that situation, um, and we felt like a group of people, a nation together. But then when COVID hit, the opposite thing happened. We became very divided, and even more divided as the years went on because of that. And it's really interesting to me to see that and to research that out and see why that's happened, which would take way too long to talk about. Um, so this is a place. This is a restaurant that we used to frequent. My boys, when they were little, it was called the Soup Kitchen, but also has this double entendre where um, the Soup Kitchen, at least in America, is a place where people go who are homeless to receive handout food. Um, and I was really thinking about my kids as when they were young and how the dynamic in the family was with me and with them. And then as they got older, or how old they are now when I made this work, and how there's a lot more need for independence and just sort of the influx between those two states of being and navigating them. Um, so this is Pelle Roja, which is I think it's Italian for pink. Uh, and this one, I'm really just using these really acidic colors to really talk about the pensiveness that I feel and I see in others in what's going on now in our world and how we are treating each other and that sort of thing. Is there a like timer on this that you get going, or is it pretty flexible?
We don't have like a timer
Oh, that's
set,
fine.
but I'm checking on the time, so I'll let you
Okay.
know
If I
via the
go over,
like
let me
direct
know.
message.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Yeah.
um, so this is a trip that I went with my middle son and my wife to London for his high school graduation. And it was, I love London. It's a beautiful place. There's so many things to do there. But the whole time we were there, or at least most of it, my son had insomnia. So there was this tension between like all the possibilities of being there and then incapacity of not being able to sleep and not really being able to enjoy this experience we're having. And just feeling that out in the work. Um, this is in the road. Um, Obviously, when my kids were little, it was interesting how the younger ones would follow and mimic the older ones. But then as they get older, they become very independent and they act like that never happened. Like everything that they know because of themselves. And I feel like that's kind of like that. That's like an American attitude. Like we're Americans, we know everything. We're the most, we're a powerful country. The rest of you don't really matter. I don't feel that way, but I mean, that's kind of the attitude of what's happening right now. If anyone's paying attention, which
Mhm.
I don't know if that's a great idea, but anyway. Um, all of my boys played this sport called ultimate frisbee. It's kind of this cross between American soccer and football and I don't know, several other things. Um, but it's a sport where there's a really focus and emphasis on camaraderie between teams and sportsmanship, good sportsmanship and stuff, and a lack of competition. And it's a beautiful thing to experience. And after the sport, like my oldest one started when the sport was just getting going here, and it grew bigger and bigger, and other people got involved, and then got to a point where some teams were very competitive, and you could feel it was palpable the difference between where they were at and where the whole sport had been, and how it just slowly ruined it. And that's kind of a reflection on some things like what's going on now. This is my wife and I were in Harlem, in the Netherlands, which is a beautiful place. Um, and I was really looking at how it feels like to be in a place where you are really alone, like in the language, in the culture, in and just in your identity as a human being, and just kind of putting that how that feels into the work on this one. Uh, this is Corn Candy. This title is more about how the work feels than about anything literary. Uh, it, it's my kids are young again. They're doing something on the table, but there's nothing on the table. It's like this sort of pantomime um, busyness that I feel like happens often in our political system. Um, this rain gone. When my kids were little, they thought hiking was just super boring. It just walking up a trail is just lame, and so they always wanted to go rock climbing. And my youngest son was like 2 or 3, and he was always the one that was like climbing to the top of the rocks. He's the one at the very top there. He was the most courageous. He didn't really think about what he was doing. And then my oldest one was very cautious, and he'd be at the back, always slowly to go up. And that it kind of reminds me of our youth culture of today, and kind of that unthought out risks that are taken, and as opposed to the older, more mindful movements with the older generations. This is the last one I have here. This is also the last work that I did for the show. I really was looking at this as 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 a parent thinking, did I do enough to give my kids what they needed? And are they still waiting for something? Did I do something that is going to make their lives harder? As a parent, you never know. Just one little thing can, especially with really sensitive kids like mine are. And so I'm waiting to see how that plays out as they get older. Um, Something that really, as I've worked on this and thought about it, that's really come home is that even though we have disagreements and we're all different in my family, we take care of each other and we cling to each other. And when someone is struggling or troubled, it affects all of us. And I really feel that's how it is with our human family. When something happens to someone, it happens to all of us. And a lot of people they don't see that, and that concerns me. So this is the work I had. This is what I had to say about it, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
John.
much indeed. Thank you. That was very nice.
Thank you.
Because we still got some time, like a few minutes, if you
Oh, okay.
have any final comments, or like from the other artists, like if you have any questions for John, you can ask one or two, I guess. Anyone?
I have a question if no one else is going to jump in. I don't want to speak over anyone. I love this work, John. It's really beautiful. And it reminds
you.
me of Degas monotypes, if you've seen any of those kind of fields of color that are quite
Yeah.
saturated. And I sort of have a technical question, really. Your image corn candy is really beautiful. I really, really love the texture. If it's possible to go back to that one, I'd love to see it again. But on a technical level, how did you create the layering of pigments? I'm going to be presenting some of my own monotypes, which are very single layered, and I just really loved how those colors coalesced.
It's a variation between using like really thin paint or ink, and then like with the colors that are really meshed together, it's like a real thick, like impasto that I run through the press on a lower pressure. So the roller is higher up. So when you do that, more of the ink will stick to the paper, and you get that sort of painterly feel out of that. And then juxtaposed against, as you can see, like with the table, it's a very, very thin layer of ink, which is pretty typical, right, for making.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very painterly.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So maybe we can save the rest of the questions for later, and we move on to, I would like to introduce Irene. Yeah, thank you, John. Irene de Boer, hello, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, lovely. So yeah, you can start your presentation and you can share screen, your presentation or image or videos, anything you want to share, or you can just talk.
How do I share my screen again in Zoom?
Okay.
Could you guide me?
Please.
Could you guide me through where I should do?
So below there, like many buttons, and in the middle, like with a green arrow going up, share, and you can just share your screen. Did I explain it okay?
Yeah, but I don't see the I don't see the error.
If you touch the screen, it will come up because sometimes it's hidden.
Maybe tap on the screen so that it can come up from the bottom.
Not seeming to happen.
Is it like a laptop or is it like an iPad?
A laptop.
Laptop. Maybe you can move your mouse cursor near there, somewhere below.
Yeah, I have audio, video, participants, chat.
React and share.
And then I have react and leave.
Oh,
no.
Oh, hang on.
Is this it? No, this is sharing documents, I think.
I don't think I have other oh, there you go. Ah, lovely. Yeah, we can all see that now.
Amazing. So nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Irene, and I am born in the Netherlands. I live currently in Amsterdam, but I grew up in the north of the Netherlands, which is the epicenter of the mining industries of my country. And going through art school and going through like my artistic research, I realized that mainly all my artistic research is kind of based around that. My work is mainly, as I said, research-based, but has a deep feeling in painting. I studied first a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and then I did a Master in Painting. So it's both like in the way of working about environments and installations, but also in the themes. This is one of my most recent sculptures. It's about Americana. I study usually in places where the activity in the earth is quite apparent. So that entails, earthquake heavy areas usually, or places where there's geothermal activity. And one of them is California. Another one is here in Asia, mainly Japan has many volcanoes, as you all know, but also Korea has a quite interesting history in terms of mining and industries in that sense. So I'm mainly based Amsterdam, and then Los Angeles, and now I've done my third project here in Asia. So that's what informs my work. And what I will do at the CICA will be based around research on crystals. It's an ongoing project called Mining Crystals, and it's about mining in terms of extraction and mining in landscapes, but also in dealing like literally in your mind and your body. So I've been doing crystal research in where we can find crystals and how they inform our daily life. And that means research, bodily research, but also research in technology. And I did a partnership with Caltech last year where we found out that there are crystals existing that shouldn't be there. And my work at the museum will be about that. Here on the screen, the red image is one of the pictures that we captured. And it looks quite satanic or spiritual in a sense, but it's actually like real-time scientific material of something that's like, in my mind, only like a speculative thing. And furthermore, I will invite a group of sound artists based in Korea. They're called Sister, and they also focus on ecology, nature, technology, and the human body, mainly the female body, but it goes beyond the female body. And they do live performances as well as pre-recorded soundscapes. So we will collaborate on that during my time at the CICA. It will probably be the 30th of April. And we will make recordings as well, so we can, all of us, work with the material we gather in future work as well. I don't know how much time I have left, but
Oh, you still got plenty of time. I'll let you know. Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, I do installation art research and creative writing as well. And yeah, current subject is like mining crystals, but another one is about environments of expansive well-being, and that entails research on finding locations throughout the world who have like a main function in how to expand, and that can be knowledge expanding or like mainly it's about wellness or health. So this is one of the rooms in at Caltech, where they mix like a museum setting and meeting room setting. So in this, they share and expand knowledge. But I also photograph places like malls or shopping centers, or it can be metro stations or other kind of liminal spaces where different people and different fields of knowledge kind of cross and interact. And before that, I made large sculptures and large installations. I think I will show you them first. This is one example. Project about potassium pools. In Utah, there is in the desert a kind of hidden, almost alien-like set in the like pools with blue, yellow, and other strange, almost alien colors, and they extract potash.
Oh, I think we
Froze.
lost yeah, connection. Bear with. Oh, didn't expect that. Just bear with me for a second. If she, oh, here we go.
Am I back?
Hello, yes, glad to see you again. So could you share the screen again?
Yes. Mm. Yeah. Where did you froze? I like here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Could you tell me which part should I start again with?
You're talking about Utah and the pools right before.
Okay. So this is one of the installation images about that exhibition, and this is another one. And the title of the exhibition was Stills of Potassium. And the idea was to make an exhibit that is a mix of also like an ongoing growing exhibition. So the theme of expanding, it was a dual exhibition and we wanted to emphasize on that. So in my studio, I created some of the potassium crystals by chemically mixing aluminium sulfate and other technical scary powders. So over the time of the exhibition, the sculptures grew as well. And let's see, here's one example. One of the little pieces that grew throughout the exhibition. This is a work I did in Japan last year. And it was about also mineral research, as well as artificial fever. I encountered the healing technique in where you get buried alive, except for your eyes and nose, for 15 minutes in this enzyme bath, which is a mix of natural elements like fungi, enzymes, and it's warm. It's beyond body temperature, so you kind of literally get like a artificially made fever to detox your body. And I overlaid images of myself experiencing this healing technique through a thermal camera, and the visual effect was quite similar to a volcano erupting, or like footage of how to heal also like the material or the camera is mainly used for how if there's a leak in your house or a flow in your house that's not functioning. It's kind of made to detect like errors in energy flow. So I thought it was interesting to mix that default into something that's more about healing. And yeah, I met these guys too in Japan. And it was a research on frequencies. I biked throughout, I did a residency and I was biking and I was interested in like finding a project that I couldn't think of finding yet. And they made this huge antenna in their garden. And I asked them what it was about, but I didn't speak Japanese and they don't speak my language. So it was in a multi-layered way about communication. But they made this radio station to communicate with other people in the world who have the same passion, but it's kind of like a hidden network of frequencies. So they use Morse code and all kinds of devices to make human connections. And I asked them where they talk about if they make a connection, but they said it's not about that at all. It's just about finding successful connection. And there it stops, which for me was really interesting because I would think that they would talk about the weather or their life or personal life, but all they do is kind of make a collection of connections, and then they send each other postcards if they are successful. So in the top image, you can see some of the cards they send to each other. And apparently they get also a lot of awards. If you make the most connection, you get a certificate of this club, which I thought was really interesting. This is an installation I did the year before, which was about minerals in technology and also, again, hidden patterns connecting technology, culture, and also aesthetic research. So the image you see here is the energy exchange between the atoms of one of the crystals in your phone. So in the middle, you see the red that are iron atoms. And then you have arsenic atoms. And then the flowery pattern is how they interact with each other, which I thought was very, again, surprising that it's just such a kind of flowery aesthetic image, which is, yeah, something that we hold every day in our hands without us knowing that it exists. To me, it felt kind of poetic and mystical. And this is one of the other detailed images. It's made out of this fuzzy material. It's originally it's used as like a curtain to put behind your door, like inside and outside, to protect yourself from mosquitoes and flies. And yeah, I was looking for some material that functions similarly to as like your telephone screen. So for me, I feel like a telephone screen is like a private place, internal in your mind, but also something you use for more outdoor purposes. And yeah, I felt like curtains are similar in a way that they are a screen. And I thought it was interesting that so many people have some kind of, how do you say, talisman or protector on their phones, mainly here in Asia, on bags and as well as on phones. So I thought that was something that I wanted to include in the work as well, like keychains or like small avatars you bring along with you. And this was a first version with a similar technique. And this was about arsenic, not arsenic pyrite, but arsenic as the material that in the Victorian age was used to amplify colors in wallpaper design, and it was the most bright colors at that time that had been used, but many people died because it was super toxic, and it was kind of a slow domestic death. Mainly women died at the time because they were mainly indoors. And again, I thought it was interesting that such seemingly bright, interesting new inventions have this kind of deadly error that we don't know about, but kind of like slowly changes your body and your inner system. Some sculpture work about layers of the earth. I made this during COVID, and looking back, I found it interesting that the days that I got sick, my work also seemed to be more sick in a way of the aesthetic. So more messy, less precise. And if I look at these sculptures now, I feel like they're kind of like a diary of that time. And in a sense, I see them kind of like the time rings in trees, when you can see when a bad year happens, the lines in a tree. If you cut a tree, they look very different from like a good year and a bad year.
Okay, so you've got about a minute or two. So would you like to leave a final comments, like wrap this up, or?
Yeah, or if you have any questions, that would be nice.
We're actually gonna have like a relaxed Q&A session after all the presentations. So yeah.
I think you have, a good image of what I do. Yeah.
I love how you explore like such a wide variety of like materials. Like each exhibition looks very different to one another, you know. Very interesting. Okay. So thank you very much. And I'm sorry that I pronounced your name wrong. I thought it was.
That's all right. Usually I
could you
introduce
teach me
myself
again?
as Irene when I'm abroad, so that's totally okay.
So it's Elena, was it?
Irene.
Oh, that's a really beautiful name, and I'm sorry for that. So yeah. So maybe we can proceed with another presentation. So please welcome Eva. Would you like to? Yeah.
Yes.
Lovely.
Okay, everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
Right, so this is this will be like the video of my thesis show documentation. So because I'm being busy with my thesis recently, and it's still up. It just ended today. So I will wait. Can everybody hear the sound?
Could you? I mean,
Like I don't. Oh, right,
you just press the. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so this is my show. So when the elevator is open, you will see this very foggy atmosphere, and that's the material is plant cover, and then you will like naturally work into the space that I created. So the show title is "We Become Each Other's Shelter, Not Innocent Enough to Unsee Any Goodbye." So right in the middle here, this light, it will blink in the way of Morse code, and the message is the title. And inside are my sculptures. So they are all body related. So here is the first work that I have. So they are placed like extruded from the column. And so basically, so I'm based in New York, and I'm here for 8 years already since my high school. And so this is basically my thesis show that when I wrap up my 4 years of college. So this is the biggest space at my school, and I always want to like make a change of this space. So I choose to use the plant cover to wrap around these columns to create a shelter like space, because the plant cover is used for this type of material is used for protecting plants from freeze, from pest, and audience staying in this space feels like they are also being protected. So these sculptures, they are made of resin and concrete. The supporting system, they are made of metal rod and then coated with concrete. So I'm trying to use the resin material, trying to use them to mimic texture of another material, because one thing about my practice is that I believe like the simulated reality is also reality, because I'm trying to use the material resin to mimic like the texture of metal, the texture of soapstone, and even like jade, just like this. This is one of my favorite piece, and it's like some body parts like organs, and also even like fruits, and they're all body related. And also I will introduce some of the series that I have done before this project. So this is I cast bitter gourd, and then I pour resin and to remake this as like a body sculpture. And here are some of the details of the sculpture. And here, as we move to this little miniature of the bigger space, it's made of the base is the acrylic mirror acrylic. So it's like when you see inside, you will see your face. It's like the space goes on forever. So it's like having the being placed in the bigger space, and also you see the space. So that's how you like the space goes on forever. And this is also another small sculptures. This placed on the ground, really cute. So they're all hanged and put on the ground, suspended. So it's like the supporting system is very vulnerable, and they are the body, the supporting system, they support each other. So as we go outside of the space, we can see is a very foggy, a very like not clear space. It's like you are being placed in a very like not translucent atmosphere. So during the opening, when there's a lot of people inside a space, like it's like a painting, and we see each other but in a very blurry vision. And here on the right is it's a like a bathroom setting, and there will be like a video playing on the wall. So that's actually the bathroom setting at my apartment, because I live by myself. So I feel like clear shower curtain can give me more security, because I feel like someone just gonna like jump behind the shower curtain and kill me, and that's very terrifying and intimidating. So that's why I changed my shower curtain to a clear a clear shower curtain, and then I have to watch something during my shower, because I feel like I have to be occupied by the sound or image, otherwise I would just think of anything that's terrifying. So also the work itself named occupied, so it's like when the bathroom is occupied, and I also need to be occupied by something, by sound or anything. And then we just like go around the space like that. And I can share more images because the show is like just this week, so everything is kind of messy. So I only have images here. Everybody see it?
Yes, we can see that. Thank you.
Okay, so this is what's happened during opening. So the audience inside, I feel like audience light up the space because I see from outside people walking around, like they are enjoying the company with the sculptures and also this is like the floor plan of the show. So this is the outside wrap and the miniature is 1B, so they are like forever and ever on and on. So it's like the space is like forever. That's something that goes on forever. And yeah, so this is like a close-up details to the sculpture. Yeah. Of the space with audience. Oh, then I also put some like human-sized teeth inside a miniature, so they can be the symbol of the sculpture within the larger space, and they can also, because I see them as like individuals, like the wounded individuals, because I feel like we are all those like wounded individuals hiding in like a very small place. And also because there's like natural lights and spotlights, so the space would the atmosphere would change as the light change. Like during the daytime and nighttime, it has very different vibe, and that's that also something that I very enjoy. Yeah, so this is mm, so this is the shower curtain setting. So this is also part of the um show. So there's a video inside playing. It's me using acne needle to pick out the seeds, and also a very abstract video of me taking shower. Yeah, so that's what I have for this project. If I had time, I can like talk about the project that I at the museum.
Yes, you've still got some time.
Okay, okay. And so this is from my website, but these are the work that I showed at our museum. So this was a series from 2 years ago. So they're all like real sculptures. Sometimes it would giving a feeling that it's like CGI or like not real thing, not like a real sculptures or installation, but they are real. So this is like a trailer of the series. So it's like a 3-chapter series. I have like each of them, they have stories, they have narratives. So this is like they all interact with this creatures that I make, and they all have like very sensitive response to the surroundings. And they all have names, so I have a like very like creature names for them. Yeah, so here's some of the images. Yeah, so this is more like a sculpt like like I would call it like the body that the figure would interactive with, because throughout this series they are all like the symbol of like woman body, that how they are being taken use of and being exploited. So the last project that I just showed is like I feel like it's like the extended project from my previous practice. So it's all about like body and wounded body, the body that's experienced quiet violence, bodies that resisting, that's fighting, or the bodies that stay but still have like image, still have message, like still have conversation with the world. This is the second one. So this, it has a sensor here. So when the figure approach to the creature, the leaves will shake and the rings on it will have the sound, have the bell sound. And this is the last chapter of the series.
I don't think we can see your screen. Are you sharing the screen right now?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
I can see the screen.
Oh,
sorry,
really?
let me do that again.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it as well.
Okay.
Oh, there
What
you go.
about now?
Yeah, I can
Okay,
see it.
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So this is like the third chapter of the series. Is like the figure is interacting with this little tripod sculpture. So when the figure is holding it, the middle part will hit the legs and it will make sound. So the series before my latest project, I will share here. It's in the when the room is in silence, I'm screaming inside. So it's like two meanings, like to understand it. It's like when the room, like just literally, when the room is it is in silence, I'm screaming inside the room, but also I'm screaming inside myself because I see this creature is like just like woman's body, because it's like sometimes we just screaming inside, like it's hard for me hard for us to do something that's make the sound very loud. So like the only thing we can do just like screaming inside. And also like the sculptures, all the sculptures I make is just experiencing some quiet violence. So they are all beautiful, but at the same time dangerous. And when you get closer, you will discover it's just plastic. They are all resin. The material is resin, but at the end of the day, it's plastic. So when you first see these sculptures, it will be just beautiful. But when you come closer, you will notice that it's just plastic and even like toxic plastic.
Okay, thank you very much. Could you just like leave the last comment or wrap this presentation up before we finish
Yeah,
this?
that's probably what I have today, and thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, I personally found your video really interesting in your solo exhibition, and it would have been even more amazing if we could have your sculpture works for the solo exhibition as well. But there's always next time, you know. Thank you very much. So next up we have Alice Laura Palmer. Could you share your screen, please?
Sorry, just getting it all ready. We've got
No
share.
worries, take your time.
All right, that's working okay?
Yes, perfect.
Great. Firstly, I'm loving everyone else's work. I just think that this is a really stunning standard of work in front of me. So, oops, sorry, I'm also in a very unstable sitting position. I will be showing both my work and some of the work that I am couching my performance work in, giving a kind of a history of where I'm taking the basis for the neuroscience that my solo will be based on, and I'll show you some of the earlier shows that I've had. But what I'll be presenting is effigy. So this is a work that explores the limbic system in the brain, which has become a recurring theme throughout most of my emerging stuff in Sydney. I'm based in Sydney, and I have a background in both neuroscience and trained classical painting. So what I'm mostly exploring at this time is the intersect between the two, which it might seem like two fairly distinct or separate bodies of knowledge, but I truly believe they come together. So I'm starting with a quote by Antonio R. Damasio. So we are not thinking machines that feel, rather we are feeling machines that think. And this is a really vital quote for me. Antonio Damasio was the author of Descartes' Error, which kind of turned the Cartesian dualism that a lot of us would subscribe to, the idea that the mind and the body are distinct entities, the mind controlling the body in a top-down reasoning sense. Basically the sort of model for which most of medical science is based on. There's a lot of ways that we think about them as being distinct, but he reverses it and basically says that the emotional processing that happens in the brain is more formed by bodily processes than anything else. And this is coming through, even though the Damasio book is an older one, this is coming through in a lot of contemporary art and even medical science. More research is going into things like gut health and bodily anxiety, embodied ways of dealing with trauma, and ways that we are sort of precipitating the body before the mind. So it's kind of an interesting area of research right now, and my work goes into the sort of tactile meniscus between the two. So this is a few of my shows, a selection of my shows and works, and the performance that I'll be bringing to CICA shortly is, you can see up on the top right, there was a short version of that. I will be drawing and painting in space, so it's kind of hard to show everyone exactly what the work will look like. I'll show you some previous performances and some monotypes. So it will begin with monotypes on the wall, which are the dreams of the work that will come. And I'm currently in process of building the limbic system that I will be bringing, which is deep hidden in the hindbrain. And it will be placed on a revolve so that its members are able to turn it as I paint. I have a context with academic art. So my interest was initially in arts and psychology, and having graduated from the University of Western Australia, I went to the Florence Academy of Art, which is a bit of an unusual place to go for conceptual art. So you can see my work here is extremely traditional. The Florence Academy of Art is a full 3-year immersion in an 18th century methodology. So it entirely structures how one might paint from life incredibly accurately, covering, you can see there's a Gérôme sculpture, portraiture, still life, and a lot of the classic genres that you might find in historic galleries and that kind of thing. So what emerged through that in my painted shows is a fusion of genre plays. So my work, social meniscus and performance of self, we kind of arrange ourselves like still lives. We make immediate assessments of people that we meet. And these are paintings of the kind of strangeness of these assessments, of the ways in which we present ourselves as a collection of objects. It might be how your hair looks or what your clothes are wearing or however you put yourself together to signal to other people in the room your stance on certain things, the way you might live, and the art that you might produce. So I work predominantly with a figurative still life layout, and I often use the images of pearls. So you can see a suspended pearl in a lot of my work, referring also to the atomic theory of contact. So really the kind of central 3 things in most of my painting shows has been about contact, social contact, and performance. These paintings were part of the bodies of work solo. I also run, oops, these photos aren't working. I also run an arts collective to support artists that do the similar work. So I'll just go through, some of the art that I've kind of based the next performance on. I'm interested in eras of thinking about image production and why there might be ways in which different minds and different brains access the visual. So the first one, before we had the concept of representation as realism, image making was a form of invocation. The artwork did not mimic the visual world, sorry. Instead, it made the invisible visible. So these are ontological figures. It might be an idea that's not a representation of a real person. And in many ways, it was sacrilegious to actually represent a real person, say, as Jesus. The relationship of the corporal and the incorporeal was pretty distinctly divided. So then we have an enlightenment had the representation of realism. We then moved into the measurement of that realism. So the measurement of how you might want to engage with bodily function according to anatomy, observational fact. And that very much is where I'm based in my practice. So I went to study the absolute fact that I could access. This is very according to the Enlightenment. The 19th century Beaux-Arts, École de Beaux-Arts, was basically sort of a dominant idea of being able to access facts that are provable. So machine learning, machine logic, and physical fact, and the sort of romanticism of what might be found only in what is seen. So then we move into the modernity. There is the reflection of the inner worlds that is not quite so immediately measured. So it's breaking the mirror that we're looking into. So for instance, Kandinsky was, I mean, all of your artists, you would all know these images very well, but the Kandinsky saw the painting as a resonance of spirit, a musical instrument or a way of breaking up form in a way that was internally more true than copying a photograph or painting someone that's directly in front of you, literally. So this era is also an era of psychoanalysis, of mechanized war on a huge scale. The intuition becomes more interesting to me. So there's Remedios Varo, Boccioni, different ways that futurists and surrealists drew out kind of internal views. So then we have our era of the contemporary artist as a researcher, where we create a practice and a thesis that creates states of cognition. So the space of the art gallery moves from a religious to a provable, debatable fact into modernity, which is exploring interior subconscious. And then we go into these states of consciousness that aren't even painted, they're states of being. And I think that it's a really interesting era that we're moving into because we're post-modernism. So I really believe that the act of making is never really neutral. It's soaked in the residues of cultural memory, tradition, and previous aesthetic systems. We inherit not only the techniques, but the cognitive frameworks that shaped them: perspective, symbol, materiality, beauty, violence. As art makers, we're reflections not only of the reality, but also of the unseen. So this very much is how I would couch what I'm about to show you in my work. While my work plays with genre play, it also plays with era. So this is me in my kind of very traditional mode of education, linking the way that I paint and the surface that I paint to historicity itself. So this is my studio right now, and I still do produce a lot of demonstrably accurately observed work. This is how I support myself in my studio practice, but you can see that I'm still working very literally from life for about half of my work, which is a bit unusual in terms of where I'm taking it in conceptual performance. So my first version of Intercept took place at the Willara Gallery at Redleaf, and it is the bare bones of what I'm going to be performing in Korea in a month's time. Basically what happened is I came into the gallery and I provided 3 pigment palettes that were available under domes. You can see them in some of these images here. And people were invited to switch around the domes and change my access to different eras of pigment making. So one of those palettes, I believe, yes, I've got them here. The palette that's on the far left is the most ancient palette. It is made of pigments that are accessible from cave painting onwards. So the white, yellow, ochre, Venetian red, and ivory black all of the mineral pigments that are relatively easy to isolate and use. In the middle, we move into the first academic palettes where the ability to refine blue pigment meant that Byzantine painters and Renaissance era painters and all kinds of practitioners around the world were able to paint something that's non-corporeal, that's the sky. Blue became the image and the resonance of spirituality. It became air, it became light. And it was a massive turning point in terms of rendering flesh and space. And then finally, I have a fully synthetic palette, which has got car painting pigments and aniline dyes, anything that is chemically derived. So this is the era of pop art and more kind of synthetic applications of pigment. And there's no ochres, nothing connected to the earth in there. So I was inviting people to come into the gallery and shift around my palettes. And the paintings you see are the subject of constant shifting of eras of painting. And I made a conscious effort at every point to apply the pigments in the spirit that they had been used. So the modern pigments were used quite instinctively, and I used my training to get quite a good sort of sense of depth with the older palettes, which obviously I'm more kind of comfortable with. So this was meant that visitors were involved with every stage of the painting, from the imprimatura, which is the base tone, all the way through the paintings. So it was quite a big experiment. Obviously it took, it was 3.5 weeks of full-time painting. And we had a model in as well, so people got to also interact with the model. So it seems a bit of a leap to jump from that through to Effigy, which is the show that I'll be preparing. But the limbic system is what connects all of my work together. So when I was studying in university, I was focusing on the hippocampus and the thalamus and all of these areas in the brain that process the same things that we process when we're making a painting or instinctually creating artwork. So what it is it's the process of everything before you are able to put them into words. The limbic system manages fear, sex, flight, fight, emotions, memory, and things that are very difficult to chart through the filtration of language. So it's the way in which we respond instinctually to things that makes us truly ourselves. That's processed through the limbic system. So as a deep structure of the brain, I'm using it throughout most of my work now, because it seems to me almost a cognitive narcissus. It's the way that we look into ourselves that goes beyond simply representation or representational painting. So this was the first iteration. So that was at CICA, and that was my favorite image was involving children in the process. My performance involved my action as the brain stem itself. The brain is divided into 2 halves, and it is connected by a bridge called the corpus callosum. So as a physical body, I was the brain stem and the corpus callosum connecting the 2 halves, and I mapped out the brain without being able to see the page in the exact rough order that it develops in utero. So the limbic system, as we are in utero, is both the first and the last system that gets developed. There's a lot of funding that goes to the prefrontal cortex and all of these later, bigger structures, but it's a very interesting way in which it slowly finds itself. And I found the drawings to find themselves in the same way, expanding outwards in kind of lung shape motions. And that's exactly how we slowly find our own brain structures. So that was the first tiny little iteration. There'll be the other one, which is in basically a month's time. I'm really excited to come over to South Korea very soon. And I will be using a different technique. I'll be using monotype printing that will have similar imagery all behind it. And I have a brain that I'll be painting in situ. So while it will be more of a mix of the 2 types of art that I've shown you today, I'll just go back to my work from life. I can get it to that point, but that will only be subject to how people will involve themselves, breaking open the act of exactly this method. This method is very literal. It goes from A to B to C. So I'm very interested in the audience's interaction with diverting the A to B to C without the kind of performance of breaking the vocabulary. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Great.
Do you want to wrap this up, or
Yes,
you?
sure. I just thought I'd finish with some images of monotypes. John also was presenting monotypes just to show the texture visually of what I will be doing. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I mean, we are also looking forward to your solo exhibition in months' time. So yeah, we'll see you soon. And lastly, I would like to introduce Paul for our last presenter. Whenever
Hello.
you're
Sure. So a little bit of a background about myself. I initially studied biotechnology, and then I decided I didn't want to finish it, so I went to Fine Art College. Trained in painting, but I was more of a draftsman. And then I did a master's in arts policy and practice because I was thinking I wanted to be a curator. But I actually had to paint for a gallery in Cologne that year, and there was something missing from what I was doing. And I quickly realized it was actually the process of making art. So I decided I'll just be an artist and use the admin tools that I kind of gained from that master's. And I wrote my dissertation on the Irish diaspora in art. So going right from Anne Boleyn, whose paternal grandfather was from County Wicklow, right up to Richard Prince's video piece of Lindsay Lohan, whose father was from Athenry in Galway, where I currently am now. Yeah, so I have a granduncle who lived in South Korea in the 50s and 60s, and we have a lot of South Korean art at home. So that's always been a big influence for me from an early age, just being exposed to Southeast Asian art. And I've always found cities quite interesting. So what my proposal was to look at the Korean diaspora in the urban landscape. So I'm looking at Seoul, I'm looking at Busan, I'm looking at, the biggest Korean diasporas will be the United States, China, and Japan. So I kind of honed in on, different cities. Like cities for me are just energy, endless possibilities. Every dot has a story to tell. Like a light at night represents so much. And I've always been, I'm kind of sort of, sometimes it takes going to the edge of the map to realize you had everything you needed at home. But yeah, big cities always draw me, and I've always been, I actually wanted to be an architect. So that's why so much of my art actually relates to architecture. So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous, and I've been up since 7 because I had an open day at the studio. So coffee has been my best friend. I'll just share the images. Just try and get them in the right order. Okay. So I have 10 of the 11 I proposed. I've had a lot of sort of grievance. But yeah, that's not relevant. I'm not going to talk about that. Yeah. Oh, I'm missing one. Okay. So this is a view of Los Angeles from Koreatown. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. So what I do is I have an app on my iPad called Doodle Buddy. How I started making digital art was I went to a conference in Ipswich called The Role of Painting in the Digital Age. Because I found the speakers really interesting. So when all of my friends were going to music festivals, I was like, oh, I'm going to go to this conference and see what it's about. And it was Matthew Crisanu, who I met there. He was talking about David Hockney's iPad drawings. And afterwards, I just said, I'd like to try that. So I borrowed a friend's iPad and I started to make art in that way using the same app. And I started initially with my finger. And then I upgraded to a stylus. But I do use a photo as a reference, but afterwards it just becomes a game of complementary colors, trying to create balance, like trying to hold someone's attention. Like we live in an image saturated age, so it's kind of about holding someone's attention for more than 30 seconds. And of course, Koreatown, Los Angeles has a lot of cultural significance, sort of, you know, sorry, it's been a long day and I'm not the best public speaker. And then I looked at Shanghai. My brother lived in Shanghai for a year and I really regret not going to visit him because he often talked about the street food and, you know, a whole day just feels like 10 minutes. But it's just like, well, that's the Bund kind of. But like what I find interesting as well about cities is you can tell kind of what dominates it. Well, not dominates it, but sort of what dominates the skyline. You know, is it technology? Is it finance? Is it religion? Monarchy? It can be a number of things. But I think if you look at that skyline, you see technology and finance. And, you know, it's sort of, yeah, it's quite intuitive. So the palette might not be totally a representation of reality, but I do think that the role of an artist is to show the world as it could be, not necessarily as it is. But yeah, so just what Alice was talking about, like this is totally, you wouldn't find these colors in nature, or at least I don't think. So it's very much ultra contemporary, and I do them quite quickly, and I sort of get into the zone where, you know, you're not really thinking of time, you're not really, you're kind of just so hyper concentrated on actually making the work. And I usually have music. It'd either be kind of like Vitalik or Queens of the Stone Age, or sometimes Handel or Vivaldi, just depending on my mood. And this is my version of Busan, which is obviously a very busy port. And I think what kind of is the key thing there is the port. Like it's a major port, and the bridge kind of dominates the skyline. So yeah, it just sort of, yeah, like all the dots on the sea, they actually represent boats coming in and out. And it does have a really, to be honest, I don't know if I'm happy with that. But I kind of have to go with it because I've kind of burnt myself out last year a bit. Like I showed twice in Dublin, once in London, Paris, Los Angeles, and Switzerland. So it was a very busy year. But I'm just kind of like this year, it's still been pretty busy, like, you know, me cutting back on exhibiting. So this is Osaka by night. Sorry, I should say the titles of them as well. I just found an angle of it I really liked. I had done images of Osaka before, you know, with the with Osaka Castle kind of juxtaposed against the skyline, but I wanted this to be really dense and quite earthbound, and it's almost like a neon haze, which I'm actually quite happy with, and I'm slightly terrified about how they're going to turn out on paper. But if I'm not happy with them, I can do them again. So what I do is I put these through Photoshop and I increase the vector to 300 dots per inch, so there's no pixelation when they're blown up. So these will be a one size, and they'll be framed with a border. And then, so what I did was I just changed the background. So this is Osaka by night. By dawn, and it's very experimental. Like, this isn't kind of really what I'd usually do, but I just decided to go with it. Like, I've never exhibited work where I signed a contract and it wasn't made before, so I was slightly terrified. And I remember one of my tutors in art college, she said, you know, sometimes you'll be expected to make work that's not made yet, and you don't know how it's going to turn out. But if it's not what was expected, I actually really like this, to be honest. It's playful. And then this is Osaka by dusk. So just by changing the background, you kind of change the entire mood of a piece. So it's almost like, you know, when you're drawing on sugar paper, you get that, it just, the background kind of changes it. When I made these three, one of my very good friends had just died, so I wasn't really in the best place. But then when you think about it, Vincent van Gogh made Starry Night in an asylum, so I just said, well, he would just say, get on with it. No, he'd say, pull yourself together. And then another friend who's an artist passed away in Los Angeles, who actually did my portrait in 2020. And he would say, go for a swim. So between the tears and getting on with it, I did get on with it, and I kind of went for a swim. And this one I really like. So that is, I know I said in the contract it's sold by night, but it's more dusk, and you have the rain, and it kind of ties in with an artwork I did before that I showed in Philadelphia, and it's sold. So there's a place where I'm from called Clifton. It's a very beautiful Victorian town, and I did kind of a very playful sort of image on the iPad, similar to this one in terms of how I kind of did the rain in a very naive way. But I also saw, I also saw the Kusama retrospective in Melbourne quite recently, and to be honest, it was life-changing. Like, I'd highly recommend anyone to go and see it. So I've always incorporated dots into my work, but probably even more so now. This one I wasn't happy with. And again, you can see technology dominates this skyline. So this was, yeah, it's very, very different. It's not like a carbon copy of David Hockney. And this is the latest one I did. And yeah, I'm terrible at this sort of thing. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much. Especially like it's really intriguing how changing the background colors like changed the whole mood of the drawing, and like I think it kind of gives a bit like abstract drawing, like fine.
Yeah, I'm kind of going towards more abstraction. I also have a qualification in ECPR from the Royal College of Surgeons, so I do a lot of work with mental health. So I've applied for a grant to look at the link between psychosis and art, because a lot of the greats have experienced psychosis, and I've experienced it myself twice. So yeah, I just want time to read a lot of academic journals on that subject, but I'm going to do it anyway, regardless of the funding. But it would be nice to get paid for it from the Irish Arts Council. So
So yeah, that will wrap up the presentations for today.
perfect.
Yeah, from now until like about an hour, we'll have a bit of time for networking. So if you kept all those questions, like you can start asking away. So who do you want to start? Like, do you guys have any questions for anyone?
Yeah, for Irene, I found it really interesting that you looked at arsenic, because it was a Swedish chemist who made that, and it was very popular. And what happens is the arsenic dye reacts with water, so it could be sweat, or it could be, particularly in damp buildings in Great Britain and Ireland, you had William Morris wallpaper on like drawing rooms or bedrooms or nurseries, and when the damp came through the walls, it actually released arsenic in its gaseous form, which caused a lot of poisonings. And I actually asked a steward at the Wallace Collection in London, because I came across a green chair and I was like, oh wow, is that original? And they just didn't know what I was talking about. So my question is, have you come across arsenic dye that's still in use in, say, a museum setting or an archive?
If I came across that, you mean in
Oh, like
like
in an archive, or like, you know, or I'm sure like some William Morris wallpaper still exists with arsenic.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I only encountered like the arsenic supplement powders, and I have
Okay.
researched like visual archives of books, and like a very big book, particularly on
Yeah.
this subject, which I would happily share with you.
Yeah, that'd be
But
awesome. Like, because there's been cases in Ireland where people died, like Charleville Castle. It's an old Gothic castle that's supposed to be haunted, and it's built over a Druid burial ground and in like a 1,000-year-old oak forest. It's ridiculous. It's like something out of a movie. But they had William Morris wallpaper in the drawing room, and a couple of people died. So I don't know, you might
yeah,
want to do a
and
visit there.
I would love that. And in the
Yeah,
book,
that's
there are
cool.
also very intriguing, kind of like revenge stories of some woman who took the arsenic and went out to poison people back in the city. So I think that's really intriguing too. That
Yeah,
kind of
times change, people don't.
yeah. Mm.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I will have to look up the title of the book, but I'll share it with you.
Cool. Thanks.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like questions. It can be a comment about others' presentations or any
Well,
other.
I
You
have
jump in, please.
yeah, if I can jump in, I also saw that same Kusama show in Melbourne.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'd love to know well, I'm based in Sydney and Melbourne.
Mhm.
I'd love to know what everyone's favorite show was they've seen recently.
Kusama.
Yeah, because that was an incredible show. It was amazing.
Mm.
Does anyone have some favorites that aren't us?
I've said
I
thank
was in, go ahead. I was in Madrid last fall, and I saw Francisco Goya's Black Paintings at the Prado, which
My
that's the
God.
most recent one I've seen. It was quite amazing. And then to add to that, uh, the Sagrada de Familia in Barcelona, which isn't a show, but most amazing cathedral I've ever seen. So.
I haven't seen them in person, but my dad's always kind of at me to go and see them because they're his favorite paintings as well.
Yeah, they're
Exactly.
amazing, and it's hard to find reproductions of them all. And it blew me away. I probably hadn't seen half of them before.
Especially
They're
the one with the giant man that's above the town. The
Yeah,
giant that's in, I find it very hard to find good reproductions of that one in
yeah,
particular.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Just the whole story, and then to see his court paintings spread throughout the city and whatever, the contrast is amazing between those two. It was a profound experience.
I actually went to Art Basel Hong Kong a couple of weeks ago, and all I can think of now is like it always end up with my favorite artist, Philip Guston. Did I pronounce it right?
oh yeah.
And yeah, I went to his solo exhibition in London a few years back, and I was impressed by like massive paintings and literally everything. And yeah, it was quite like seeing your old friend, you know, getting to see your favorite artist's work in other space. So yeah. And also my favorite exhibition is like Sarah Lucas, another solo exhibition in London. Oh my God, yeah. She's amazing as well. If you haven't gone to her exhibition, I highly recommend. She's really good. Yeah, all I can think of those two.
Those are pretty
Amazing
cool.
show that sorry.
No, sorry.
Okay. So amazing show that in recently saw at the Hauser work by Camille Hanroth. It's I don't know if you guys uh know about that. It's like all the big sculptures that she made with bronze, and it's about like kids games, and it's like the whole setting is like the playground, and she really changed that space very much, and she put she like remade the ground with all like the green material.
Was that in New York?
Yeah.
Nice. Great city for art.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so sorry to butt in. I'm gonna have to make my apologies. I read the wrong time on your scheduling and we're an hour ahead and I have to go to work pretty soon. So I thought we finished 1 p.m. So sorry.
Right? No
I'm
worries.
gonna have to go
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
moment. But
please. Awesome.
I just want to say thank you so much to everyone. I've really enjoyed seeing your work.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time.
too.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
really look forward to being in South Korea. Are any of you guys traveling to Seoul for your shows with
I'd
CICA?
like to.
I'll be there.
Please,
Yeah.
your guest.
Well, I
Um,
really look forward to seeing you again as well, and thank you so very much. And sorry I have to go, it's my mistake.
no worries. I mean, yeah, we'll see you soon, Alice. Okay, have
Thank
a
you.
lovely day.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. So yeah, I'm not quite sure about like the time range you're in at the minute. So if you're like in the middle of like, 3 in the morning or something,
It's
you
like,
can just like go for bed and yeah, we
oh
can, yeah.
no, this is important. It's like 12 past 4. I mean, I used to rave all the time in London, Haringey Warehouse District and
Well,
Vauxhall
past
and
four.
oh, till the next day. I
Wow.
don't do that anymore though. I'm too old.
No. Yeah, Paul, I really liked your Busan drawing because my grandma actually lives in Busan. She's from Busan basically. So I went there fairly often when I was little, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I immediately recognized that Gwanghwaneoli, like the bridge.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that that was Gwanghwaneoli, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, you'd know better than me. I actually didn't know what it was called.
Maybe, yeah.
I just sort of was like, oh, I'm running out of time, and like life happened, and I know I was supposed to do them last year, but it's been an eventful, like let's say from November up until this month even. And I don't know if you heard about Sarah Cunningham, but she was an artist I was following. Sarah Cunningham from Nottingham. She was quite a prolific abstract expressionist. She had a bit of a misfortune in Chalk Farm on the Tube.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. Like, this is supposed to be lighthearted networking, but yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking of like showing her like the image of the artwork later. She might love it. Yeah. Definitely. And I love like the small red drop for the sun, like the right hand side
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, that's really cute.
Oh, thank you. Like, my art is very naive. Like, I've been told that before, but I think it's great. Like, my way of art hasn't actually changed that much since I was a kid. You know, art college kind of forces you to get out of your comfort zone, and you do that, and then you kind of keep bits and pieces, and it just becomes a more sophisticated version of, you know, or at least I hope.
Yeah, speaking of which, like I was wondering if you guys have like a dream project, like not your current project, maybe like the one you want dreaming for, you know?
I'll need a really big space for that. It came to me in a dream on Holocaust Memorial Day, but like we probably don't have that much time, so
So yeah.
well, basically, I just had a dream that two of my ancestors that perished in the Holocaust came to me in a dream and showed me an artwork about like Nakba keys from Palestinians, and it was all suspended in a big space, but I'd need a really big space. And I was thinking the Irish pavilion for the Venice Biennale, but it's super competitive and there's a lot of work involved, and I just don't have the bandwidth to do it now. And I don't think I'm quite there yet. So
We're talking about dream projects, you know?
yeah, that's true. It's a dream project. But it would just be like one Nakba key for every displaced Palestinian household since the displacement began, basically. So yeah.
What about John? Do you have any?
I'm trying to get funding in the moment for a project where I'm going to take, based on the American insurrection of 2021, where a bunch of white guys marched on the Capitol. I don't know if you know about that. It's based on Hieronymus Bosch's The Temptation of St. Anthony in Lisbon that I saw when I was there a year or so ago. And using the format of an altarpiece to try to talk about why that happened and the psychology behind it, and also to use that to talk about the riots that happened in America and the crazy crap that's going on in America right now with the political situation. So I'm hoping to get funding. We'll see how that goes. It's a big project, would be expensive, and then I want to travel the country. So that's my dream project at the moment.
Love with that. I'll have fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
I went to school in France and I picked up smoking, so I hope no one minds if I smoke in my kitchen.
No. I mean, the smoke will reach Korea though, is it?
Well, I found Singapore, like I had one cigarette in Singapore with my taxi driver after Chinese New Year. Like I went to spend it with a friend on the way to Australia, and celebrated Chinese New Year, New Year of the Snake. At a friend's house I hadn't seen in like 15 years. She studied medicine, and she took me on a food tour. But then I got heat stroke in the botanical gardens, so I kind of cut that short.
I found the title of the book, by the way.
Oh, let me get a pen and paper. I left my notebook inside.
How about you, Eva? Do you have any other dream projects you're working on or you're dreaming of?
So the project that I just shown is like a very recent thing that I just done with it, and that's like one of the biggest project that I ever done. Um, and probably for like a future project, I would do something like similar to that, like make a big change of the space, because I really want to like change like how people perceive the space differently. Um, because I feel like I don't want like a wide cube space. I wanted to like create a very different experience that people can have like immersive feelings to it. Yeah, that's pretty much that I'm thinking about, because I'm just done with that very big project, and I'm still not ready yet for like a new project.
I mean,
Okay.
I think planning spaces like specifically gives a more immersive experience to the audience. And especially I love how you used all the pillars to make that your exhibition as well. Like, because if you hadn't put those what was that? Like in
The
between.
plan cover.
Yeah. Without that, people just will have just recognized as just one space as whole. But because you blocked these pillars, so people kind of travel inside that way. And I thought that was very clever. Mm.
Thank you, because there are two elevators, so a square one and a round one. So I was wrapping that and making the space is naturally guiding people to the entrance. Like either you go left or right, you will eventually go to the entrance and then enter the space. And that's kind of like what I want, um like making the experience like naturally and you just like naturally guided through the exhibition, and you would like just have that immersive experience.
Totally agree. Yeah. That's wonderful. Mm. How about you, Elena? Did I pronounce it right now?
Yes, but it's tricky because we use in Dutch the R quite in the back of your throat. It has this kind of
I
ring
mean,
to it, so I won't ask you to.
Elena.
Irene with
Elena.
the
Irene.
yes. The
Okay.
book is called Bitten by Witch Fever.
That
So
sounds
like
class.
it sounds funky,
I'll
right?
remember that. Like class is an Irish colloquialism for really cool.
Mm. My dream project, yeah. Maybe this project is kind of a dream project in a way of being able to work with amazing people in the field of sound and like more like the digital art world, because I'm so embedded in material studies and aesthetics and making sculptures and installation that working with AI or like even Photoshop and Premiere is something I always felt like not for me, let's not dive into it. But now I'm working with a team who is helping me out. I feel like there are many opportunities also not to be scared about because I feel like in my work it's kind of referring to nostalgia or maybe the 20s liminal spaces. And I think if I use my visual language a bit naively, I think it would actually work or benefit my work. So I think I'm now a little bit over the shock of going beyond what I'm used to. So yeah, I think my dream project would be to keep expanding on collaborations.
I think you should do a PhD.
Yeah?
Well, it's up to you. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I think you'd be well able to do a PhD somewhere. And you'd
I
get
love that.
funding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's also one study is called spiritual architecture. And I'm
Okay.
also intrigued in that study, so maybe I will look into that more too.
Let me guess, you like Klimt and Abramovich?
No, neither of them actually.
You don't know them? Okay.
Neither of them. Neither of them.
Marina Abramovich, she does a lot of performance art, and Hilma Klimt, she was really into
I mean,
the
I know
occult.
them, but I'm not a fan of. I'm not too much of.
Ah,
a fan.
okay, fair. Sorry.
I like them. I like them in a mystical, romantic way.
Yeah,
But,
that's fair.
yeah. I love Terrell though.
Who?
James Terrell.
Oh, James Turrell. Yeah. I'd love him to design me a house.
Yes.
That'd be so cool.
That would be good.
Oh, I'll go back in. The lighting is very harsh here.
You guys have any further questions to each other? I wasn't quite sure, so I just wanted to ask.
No, that's okay. Sorry, I'm a bit loopy. I've just been up since 7 a.m.
No.
and
Oh, your presentation was wonderful.
very
So-
coffee fueled.
No, it wasn't. It was perfect. So yeah, maybe we can just wrap things up here if you guys haven't any. Paul, do you have any questions?
No, I should definitely sleep.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to say I really enjoyed everybody's presentation. Very impressive. Thank you, everyone. That was great.
I mean, thank you all so much for your time today. And yeah, I look forward to another opportunity to meet you all again in person or online, either way. And we always welcome you at CICA Museum, so feel free to visit us as well. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you
And
so much.
have a lovely
Thank
morning,
you.
afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, night.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.